Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be going over classifying triangles. So you can classify triangles based on their sides or their angles, which we will go through both. You'll just classify based on which they give to you. So firstly, if you have three congruent sides, that's an equilateral triangle. If you have two congruent sides, that's an isosceles. And if you have no congruent sides, that's a scalene triangle. So when you're given side lengths, or when you're given a triangle on a coordinate plane and you want to find side lengths, you need to do the distance formula. So for example, they give us this triangle here, and they give us points A, B, and C, which we can go ahead and label these points. This is 0, 0. This is 6, 3. And point C over here is negative 1, 2. So we'll do one of these. So for length AB, so A is the point 0, 0, and B is the point 6, 3. And the distance formula is the square root of your change of x squared plus your change of y squared. So our change of x is going to be 6 minus 0, which is 6. The change of y squared is 3 minus 0, which is 3. So you can do the square root of 6 squared plus 3 squared. This goes to the square root of 36 plus 9. So this is the square root of 45, which we can simplify this radical. That goes to 9 times 5. 9 is 3 times 3. So we got 2 3's that break out to the other side. And we're left with a root 5. Then you do the same thing with BC, and then compare the numbers and see how many sides are congruent or the same length. So classifying by angles, if you have three acute angles, that's an acute triangle. If you have one obtuse angle, it's an obtuse triangle. One right angle, it's a right triangle. And if you have three congruent angles, that's an equal angular triangle. So similarly, if you're given a triangle on a coordinate plane, and it wants you to determine the type of triangle it is based on the coordinate plane, you can find slope. And so the only thing you can really do classifying when it's on the coordinate plane with slope or looking at your angles, you can just determine if it's a right triangle or not. Because if two of the lines have perpendicular slopes, which means opposite reciprocal, that will imply that they're perpendicular lines, which then implies a right angle is formed between them, which then implies a right triangle. So slope is just rise over run. So for slope of AB, just do rise over run. So we just count 1, 2, 3. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 over 6, which simplifies to 1/2. Next, slope of AC. So this is going to be a negative slope because it's decreasing going left to right. So we just do rise over run. So 1, 2 over 1. So this is negative 2 over 1, or just negative 2. So we can actually stop right here. These two are opposite reciprocals, which implies perpendicular lines, which implies a right angle. So this is a right triangle. Okay, let's do one of these examples. Let's look at example 2. So it wants us to classify the triangle and find x. Let's look at example 2. So these tick marks indicate congruency. So it's telling us there's two congruent sides. So that would be an isosceles. So to find x, well, if they're equal, we can just set these two sides equal to one another. So let's solve. So we equal to 2x. My bad. So we just move this 2x over. We have it set equal to 0. So now we factor. So two numbers that multiply be negative 24 and add to be negative 2. It's going to be negative 6 and 4. Okay, so we can then rewrite the left-hand side like this. X minus 6 times x plus 4 is equal to 0. Now in Algebra 1, you learned something called the zero product rule, which essentially states that since these two factors at the end of the day just represent a number, we can take each factor and set it equal to 0, because if either one of these numbers are 0, since they're being multiplied together, when either one is 0, their product goes to 0. Which again is all just a fancy way of saying take each factor, set it equal to 0. So when you set x minus 6 equal to 0, you get x equals 6. When you set x plus 4 equal to 0, you get x equals negative 4. And we will always take the positive solution in this course. And that is it, guys. Thank you.